Good evening, guys. Apologies for that. Don't know what happened on that first video there. But I was discussing the Burton and the Rotherham games. Obviously today it's an enormous game. The fans knew the importance of it. The manager did. You assume the players did. Unfortunately, I was at Blues Ladies, the FA Cup semi-final today, so I wasn't there. So if anybody was there that would like to comment and make a point about how they felt the game went and what happened, and obviously the culmination of the Rotherham game and the Burton game today is that Gianfranco Zola has resigned as manager of Blues. So we are left now in a situation whereby we are 3 points off the drop with 3 games to go. Now, those 3 games are Villa away next week. Enormous, arguably the biggest derby we've known in quite a long time. And then after that, last home game of the season against a Huddersfield side that are vying for promotion. Arguably, the chances are they won't have got automatic. So the chances are that they might be resting players in view of the playoffs coming up. That might be our best chance at a result between now and the end of the season. And then obviously the last game of the season is Bristol City away, who themselves aren't out of it entirely. Pete Taylor, best news in a long time. When I heard Zola had quit, I ran down the hallway, Lee Clark style. It is, I have to admit, from the moment he came in, I was sceptical. And I haven't been won over by him at all, by any of the performances really. The Wolves away game was comfortably the best we've had with him. But apart from that, there's been nothing that I've seen. He has shown nothing, no managerial, no tactical nous, no, nothing at all that really could suggest that he could do the job. So he has gone now, and now it's a question of who do the fans want? Who do we think? Really, with 3 games left, we have to save this season. Roger Finch, hello, Aoife Wembley. We'll discuss the Blues Ladies semi-final shortly, Roger. But in case you aren't aware, and you didn't see my video on Facebook earlier, Blues Ladies have won the semi-final against Chelsea and are on the way to Wembley, where they'll face Man City in the FA Cup final. Tom Hunt says Pearson, new manager. Nigel Pearson has been out of work for a while since he left Derby, and arguably he's one that ticks all the right boxes. Really, you think that we need a turnaround, we need a quick turnaround, and we need somebody that can organise our team for the next 3 games to get, I don't know, 2-3 points, maybe 1 win. Will 1 win be enough? So Pearson has to be close to the top of the list of names just until the end of the season. Long term, I'm not sure about his suitability, but for the next 3 games, he's a possibility. Steve Wood, superb by the ladies. Who scored our goal? Should have gone there instead of the men's. Well, we were at home to Chelsea ladies in the FA Cup semi-final, and we took the lead on just after the hour mark, I think, through Megan Sargent, centre-back, come up for the corner and headed home. Chelsea equalised with about 5 minutes of normal time left, which was really heartbreaking because we put so much into that 90 minutes, and it looked like we were going to get over the line, but they equalised really late on, which forced extra time. But as much as Chelsea threw everything at us in extra time, our keeper made 3 or 4 really good saves. But we battled in and we made it difficult for them, and we got through to the penalty shootout, which, as I said, I put a video of on the Facebook group, and it was 2-2 after 2 penalties each, and then Eni Aluko missed for Chelsea, and Blues scored, and then I think it was Millie Bright who missed Chelsea's 4th penalty, and Ellen White stepped up and scored the last penalty to send Blues to Wembley. So it was Aoife Mannion, Sarah Mayling, Keris Harrop and Ellen White who scored the Blues penalties, and Megan Sargent scored in normal time. Pete Taylor, hopefully the Zola news doesn't distract too much from the ladies' result. Amazing result. It is an incredible result to get to an FA Cup final at Wembley, and in doing so they've beaten Arsenal ladies and Chelsea ladies now. So that's 2 of the big 3, and now we've got to face the 3rd in the final in Man City. But after what we've done so far, I wouldn't rule it out at all. Dan Jones, Nigel Pearson or Claudio Ranieri. Pearson we've already mentioned. I have my doubts over Ranieri. Do we want Ranieri for 3 games until the end of the season, or are we prepared to? I mean, if we do go down, can you imagine Ranieri managing a League One club? I'm not so sure myself. I'm not sure Ranieri will be close to the top of the list. Karanka, says Sophie Lloyd. Now Karanka has shown with Middlesbrough that he knows this league, and he can organise a team as well. You know, Middlesbrough were very difficult, even in the Premier League this season. You know, they in the bottom 3 based on the fact that they struggle to score goals, but defensively they don't concede many, and Karanka knows how to organise a team. I think Karanka would possibly be my shout as well, if I'm being honest. Heath Burgess, if we appoint Robbo, I'm emigrating. Yeah. Joe, and people will easily throw this out, give it Robinson till the end of the season, and they'll use the word passion, they'll use the passion line. You know, we need to show passion in these next 3 games, especially with the derby coming up. But actually, I think what we need is a structure and an organisation, because that's what we've been lacking. We've been lacking a tactical awareness, and we've been making such silly mistakes. And you need a manager, you know, someone with good experience to iron out those mistakes. And unfortunately, Robinson hasn't at the moment, and I think Robinson would naturally be get him in until the end of the season and let the players go and try and fire them up a little bit. I don't think they'll need firing up for the Villa game. Obviously, it's a derby. They should be fired up for that anyway. And I just think they need a little bit more structure. I agree with Heath. I certainly wouldn't be interested in giving it Robinson. Kevin Kelly, Zola showed nothing, not even honour or integrity, leaving us with just 3 games. Why didn't he go 10 games ago? I have to agree with that, Kevin. He's come out and made his statement today after the game, and just before I came on, Blues released a video of the resignation itself and what Gianfranco had to say. There has to be an element of integrity. If he's resigned, no, you don't know whether they've told him resign or we'll have to sack you. So it's your choice. But there has to be an element of going in front of those reporters and saying I have resigned. I'm the one who's made mistakes. So I agree. There's a little bit there, but I agree with Kevin. He knew that this wasn't working 5-6 games ago. The game, nothing was going to change for me. There was no sign of it changing. There was no upward movement at all. There was no sign of improvement. So I kind of agree with Kevin there. I think it is a bit of a cop out with leaving us in the lurch with 3 games left and only 3 points off the drop. Robinson and Richard Beale to keep us up then. Take time on permanent manager in the summer. Robinson and Richard Beale, let's remember, oversaw if I remember rightly, oversaw the 8-0 debacle against Bournemouth. And Robinson, I've already mentioned. I just think you need somebody with more of a managerial mind than that. I'm not sure those two would keep us up, to be honest. Dean Tustin, who would he take on a poison chalice like this? You say poison chalice. If we do stay up, you know, this club, it's seen that the fans still getting behind the team. I mean, they lost it today. By all accounts, from what I've seen, there were people trying to get, you know, shout at the director's box, going towards the director's box. But they're angry, that's understandable. But for the 20 games before that, I think the fans have got behind the manager. And brutally, you can't get much worse than what happened with Zola. So I think any manager that comes in now will have the backing of the fans, purely because it's come after the terrible Zola tenure. Paul Williams, get Redknapp in. I have an issue with Redknapp. I think has been out the game for too long, and I think some of his methods are outdated now. I don't think he'd be appropriate right now. Steve Kimberley, take a bow, BCFC ladies, absolutely. Dan Jones also mentions Harry Redknapp. Mark Wanwell, early days, but when do the Wembley tickets go on sale, and how much roughly? I'd love to go. I think they've been out on sale for quite a while, Mark. If you check on Facebook or Twitter on the FAWSL pages, or the SSE Women's FA Cup page, or Google SSE Women's FA Cup, I think they are on sale. People have been able to get them for quite a while. What I'd like to see is the club to organise some sort of, you know, put out a statement where they say, Blues fans, if you all want to sit together, we're looking at getting in block such and such and such and such, so a lot of the Blues fans can sit together, which would be a really good way of doing it. But they are on sale, I think, now already, Mark. Kevin Kelly, Alex Neil, ex-Norwich, would be a good choice. Yes, not a terrible choice. He sort of lost his way a bit at the end at Norwich, but has shown in the past that he's capable. I think he took Norwich up the year before, and you know there is another man that at least there's a little bit of organisation that you could see that he's got managerial nous rather than, you know, basically you're giving up the season. You just say give it Robinson until the end of the season. You're almost dismissing the importance of the manager. Andrew Cave, I was there today and I'm appalled with today's lack of anything. Still trying to be positive, but can't see where we are going to get any points from in the last 3 games. Now there's a guy who did go today, Andrew, and he's come away desperately unhappy, and the point is there he couldn't see any positives, and honestly I haven't seen, with the exception of the Wolves game, I haven't seen any positives at all during Zola's tenure. There was nothing I saw. You know, we used to be a team that was hard to beat, and with a team everybody wants to play. I bet Burton lost at home to Ipswich on Friday. I bet they were coming out of that thinking it's okay. We've got Blues on Monday. That's the game that we can win. Everybody is every game now. We are the team that people say, well, if we don't win this one, we can win this one. So yeah, I agree, and I am concerned, Andrew. I also I'm looking at the next 3 fixtures. I can't see anything next week against in the derby. I know they lost today, and Codger got sent off, their top scorer, which is a bonus. But you can't tell me they won't raise their game and be up for that, especially in the predicament that we're in now. And then after that is Huddersfield at home, and then Bristol City away. So really everybody has got something to play for. Villa, the fact that it's us and it's a derby. Huddersfield because they're going for promotion, and Bristol City aren't safe yet. So Nick Spall, well done ladies. What a Zola coaster of a day all round. It only happens to us. Well, yes, it does. It has happened to us. What I'd like to see now is a little bit of recognition, if you like, from the board that they have thrown us under the bus. They've thrown this season under the bus. If we stay up, they've got lucky. They've got away with it, and I'd like to see someone from the board come out and be held accountable, if you like, and you know, and say to the fans, listen, we tried to go it our way and we were wrong. As simple as that. Dean, with 3 games to go, Sam, Zola sacking gives us a chance of staying up. 1 win looks enough to stay up. Robinson better than Zola. Alex Neil, the 3-1 favourite, he would keep us up. Back to basics, 4-4-2, 4-3-2-1. Unfortunately for Blues now, really the opportunities to attack have gone. The opportunities to attack and score goals and actually win a game were Rotherham away and Burton at home. And Zola was in charge of both those games and has gone 5 at the back for both of them. I mean, the Rotherham, I mean, I wasn't there today. It sounds like there was a bit of a debacle, and we really were poor. But we're even poorer against Rotherham. You know, that's a side that have been relegated, and we've gone 5 at the back. I don't think Grounds and Ensue got over the halfway line for much of the game. And until Frey came on, we didn't look like scoring at all. And then even when we did, we managed to concede. Nobody, I don't know if anybody has lost points after being ahead against Rotherham this season. Certainly not in the last 15, 20 games or so. But somehow we managed to do it, and like I said, we could have lost it at the end as well. They had a glorious chance at the end. It could have been 0 out of 6 points that we've got from the 2 games that defined our season. Mark, there'll be no permanent manager until we know where we stand. The big names bandied about aren't going to join us in League One. That's a point. So you really, it's a proposal to the managers, to the big names on this list, that they say, you know, are you confident in keeping us up? If you are, you've got a job for 2.5 years, and we'll back you, and we'll be prepared to back you. It's whether those managers would be prepared to keep us, to be willing to try these 3 games to keep us up at the end, because there needs to be a massive shift in momentum. Russell Smith, I like these. If anybody else has got one of these, bumped into Simeone at East Midlands Airport today. If anybody else has seen world-class managers knocking around Touchwood or any other area around the Midlands, then do let us know. There you go. Russell's, I don't know what Simeone is in the betting, but Russell's prepared to put his money where his mouth is. Warren Starling, he said there was no pressure from above. Do you know what? There's always pressure from above. When the fans start trying to get at directors' boxes, and you know, if it was pretty toxic there, which it sounded like it was, then I can't believe there'd have been no pressure from above. But we have to take him. We have to take him for his word. We have to believe him and assume that he has just resigned off his own back. Nick, real shame it didn't work out. It was, however, too bold a move mid-season. Nick, obviously, regular listeners of the Tilton Talk Show will know he's an advocate for positivity. You know, Nick does like to be positive. I don't think it was ever going to work out. Even last week, before the Rotherham game, people were after the Derby game, people were suggesting that we were quite unlucky and we were only a few steps away, but I never saw it at all, one bit, nothing at all. I never saw it working. For me, it was completely unnecessary at the time. It was far too bold mid-season. And the fact we were outside the playoffs on goal difference, I know it doesn't mean anything, and this certainly isn't a old manager versus Zola debate, you know, because we've already had that. But once you do that, you have to be prepared for what's going to happen if it doesn't work. And nobody at the club seemed to be prepared for what would happen if it didn't work, and it hasn't worked. Benji Smith, 8-0 was Malcolm Crosby. Okay, I apologise to Richard Beale on that account then. Chris Sheriff, his final mistake, putting Magoma at right back, one of many Zola made. Do you know what? Yeah, it started with Jack Storer, central midfield. I think I remember one of the home games. He has made countless mad decisions. I think he took, obviously, if anybody was there, was Kuszczak carrying a knock, or has he dropped him on the basis of a mistake? Or has there been a fallout at half time? Because he's made 2 changes at half time and he's changed the keeper. Now you're 1-0 down at home to Burton. You'd have thought you'd want all your substitutions for attacking options. But he's changed the keeper at half time. Now it might be an injury. I wasn't there. If anybody was there, was Kuszczak carrying a knock, or has he dropped him based on the fact that it was his mistake for the goal? But Magoma at right back is another crazy error. Kevin, Panos and Edward Zhang left 20 minutes before the end in fear of their lives. Panos should resign along with Zola. Obviously we don't know the full story, and we don't know 100% whose decision it was to get Zola in. Whoever's it was, I agree. Like I said, I think the board should come out and be held accountable, and I think whoever's decision it was to get Zola in should also be going the same way as Gianfranco myself. It took 80 minutes for us to have a shot on target. That says it all. That's from Steve. Yeah, that does say it all, and that's a horror show. In a must-win game at home to a relegation rival, you don't have a shot for 80 minutes, a shot on target for 80 minutes. Then we deserve to be where we are. Unfortunately, that's the reality of it. That's where this situation's got us. £15, £7.50 in block of 9. That's from Roger. Kids free. I assume that's the prices for the FA Cup final at Wembley, which is pretty good. I mean, kids free is excellent, and if you have got a lot, I mean, this is a really good opportunity for Blues fans to end the season with a bit of joy and actually take your frustration out of the men's. If you are interested in going, I think it's the 13th of May, so the season will have finished by then. Saturday 5:15 kick-off, I think. So it'd be fantastic to see as many Blues fans down there as possible. £15 for a cup final to watch Blues is excellent value for me. No Codger next week from Nick. Yeah, obviously his red card today it's a bonus him not playing, but they've got a wealth of options in that squad, and I'm sure whoever plays will be well up for the game. Paul Gill, irrespective of whether he resigned or was forced to resign, the board should have done this a month ago. Oh, I'd have said 3 months ago, but there you go. Based on their appointment, can we trust them to get someone in who knows what they are doing this time or another? Yeah, it's that is a worry. That is a worry that hopefully the person who made the Zola decision isn't making this decision, and I think you do have to hope that they consult football people on this next managerial appointment, because it's big. It's really big. We've got 3 games to save our season, so it is important. And do I trust them? Not entirely, no. Which is why I think they will probably more than likely give it to someone within, which would suggest Richard Beale or Robinson. But I don't think that's the right way of going about it, but that's the way I think they will go about it. Paul Hipkiss says Lee Carsley again. Obviously there's a Blues connection there, and he was an excellent player in his time, and I'm sure he's done his coaching badges, but he hasn't been in that 3 games to go and we need to stay up situation. Sophie Lloyd, oh my word, the M words popped up. McLeish, would Blues accept him back if the offer was on the table? I think Blues would. Blues fans, however, is a different matter altogether, and I think the board need a PR success, and appointing the manager who left us to go to Villa would probably be the only thing that they could do to make this situation even worse at the moment, Sophie. I think McLeish was treated harshly, and I think he's got negative memories based on the fact that he went to Villa. He was somebody who could organise a team. He was somebody that could, had knowledge of structure, and tactically was quite good. But I really don't think that the Blues fans would welcome him back at all. Steve Kimberley, see if we can get Clough if we stay up. Now, obviously, he's out-tacticianed and out-mastered Zola today. And that Burton side really shouldn't be staying up. So I think it's a fair point. I think he's done really well to keep Burton up. But is that his level? Is that where Nigel Clough's happy? Is he happy firefighting? When he went to when he's had opportunities at bigger clubs, he hasn't taken it with both hands. No to McJudas, says Russell. I thought that would be the reaction. Who would want to come in and be told the players you're signing? That's from Warren Starling. I think a lot of managers are used to that at the moment. A lot of the managers that are on the table. I think Pardew had that at Palace, and Pearson probably had that at Leicester as well. Well, Pearson definitely had that at Leicester. I think one of their former players was head of recruitment, and so I think they're used to it. I think they expect that's what happens nowadays. They don't get the choice. There's the players come in and they have to work with it. Steve Wood has just invited Panos to watch this. I wonder if he will. Pete Taylor, the board have an ideal chance now to admit they screwed up. They could win back some desperately needed respect for themselves. They have a chance. And if they appoint a manager that keeps us up, then and admit that they might have made a mistake with the Zola signing, the Zola appointment, sorry, then maybe there is a fresh start for next season. But they've got a lot of clawing back to do, a lot. Do you think Panos should go as well, says Dean? I don't know if Panos Pavlakis singled out Zola. I don't know if the decision to appoint him was his or whose it was. So I'm not going to single out Panos. All I'm saying, but based on the fact that I don't know the ins and outs, whoever did appoint Zola, whoever's Zola was the choice of, I do think they have to be accountable, because there was no sign that it was going to work at the start. Look at his managerial history. It's not a record. It's not a record to shout about. And obviously, the way it's gone and the way it's turned out, I think there does have to be accountability for somebody on the board as well as the manager. Adam Chambers, we were better today than Rotherham, but second half today we were as bad. I mean, how can you not get yourself? How can you not get a team up for Rotherham away and Burton at home when you know that those two games are eminently winnable, and you know that if you win those games, you're safe. You've got no worries until the end of the season. It's desperate, Adam, unfortunately. Kevin Kelly, Panos Pavlakis must go too. His choices have near relegated us. If they are his choices, Kevin, as well as new manager, must have a proper football chief executive. Now, what I'd say is Panos. There was a lot, an awful lot of disdain for the ownership and the club in general when Panos Pavlakis came in, and he steadied it. He steadied a ship that was rocking. After the Clark sacking and the 8-0 against Bournemouth, that was a really low point. And he came in and he did unite the fans, and he did give a voice, of a little bit of positivity. Now, and obviously he appointed Rowett, which turned out to be positive. whether it's him that has sought out Zola or not, you know, at the end, when he come in, he did a good job, and he brought a bit of stability to us. Let's not forget that. But yes, whoever's choice it is, I do think they should be made to stand accountable. Penelope Wood, what do you make of Ensue liking the Instagram of Zola's resignation? I haven't seen that. If it's the case, it doesn't surprise me. Obviously, Ensue was brought in by Zola, but after the Rotherham game, Ensue was involved in altercations with other players. You know, after the game on the pitch and in the dressing room, by all accounts. So it doesn't massively surprise me if he's happy that Zola's gone. He's not the first player I've heard that would be happy at Zola's departure as well. I've heard rumours of other players, suggesting that they might not be here if Zola was the manager next year. So it doesn't surprise me, Penelope. Roy Hayward, Alex Ferguson spotted in Solihull. He's better get a race on with Simeone at the airport. James Brown, Alan Kirbishley and Steve Kimberley straight away. Alan Kirbishley as well. I think even though he's got an affinity with the club, obviously, but I think he's been out the game for so long now, to come in and do such a massive job for 3 games to try and keep us up. I don't know. I think I'd rather someone that hasn't been out the game for. He hasn't managed since West Ham, was it? Probably about 10 years ago. It's asking a lot. It is. Scott Morgan says Pearson, possibly. Heath, Barry Fry is what we need. No idea who will take this job right now. I think Barry Fry, I mean, I don't know if that's serious, Heath, but Barry Fry would be along the same lines as Robinson. The last thing you need now is passion. I think what you want, because you might as well just give it any fan if all you're after was passion. You need a bit of direction and a bit of tactical know-how. Remember what I said, grounds in the last minute against Bristol City from Benji Smith? He did say that last week. I was kind of hoping this week would sort that out and wouldn't have to be important, but you might well be right there, Benji. Scott Morgan, Robinson until the end of the season, and then bring Pearson in for pre-season. Obviously, I mean, if we don't go down, I don't think Pearson will come to manage us in League One. If we do go down, we're looking at a completely different kettle of fish in terms of managers. Adam Chambers says injury for, I think that was for Kushak. Kushak was injured during the mistake for the goal. Fair enough then. That explains that substitution. I've just been in my local Indian takeaway. I'm not joking, but I can promise you I didn't see John Terry. Obviously he's leaving, announcement that he's leaving Chelsea at the end of the season. Roy Hodgson from Dean Tustin, stop swearing. I'm not having that man anywhere near my football club after he ruined my country. Barry Fry from Dennis Bohemian, not for me. George Ellis, Kushak bottled it, didn't want the booze. They need to man up. Where's Gardner and Davis? Thought they had pride. As for the rest of the team, they should show us they have fight against the Villa. I'm not sure about bottling it in terms of coming out for the second half. Obviously, if he's got an injury, he's got an injury, and that's why Zola needed to make the change. I'm certain whoever is in charge on next Sunday, Gardner and Davis will work their socks off, as will the rest of the team. They have to now. They've really got no choice. There's 3 games left to stave off relegation. So, and in a derby like that, you can't not go in 100%. Andrew Cave, I'll do it for $3,000 a week. Sam Greenaway won't be able to make the final, but BBC will show it hopefully. That's obviously the ladies. 1 win or 3 draws to stay up, and Forest to drop. They have their own battle with their owners and in our equally as bad form. Yeah, I mean, looking at the fixtures, we've got Villa away, Huddersfield at home, Bristol City away. I was looking earlier. I think Blackburn have got Wolves away, Villa at home, and then Brentford away. Now, if Villa beat us, it really wouldn't surprise you that the Villa fans going to Blackburn would be more than happy to see them lose if it threw us under the bus. But I think Forest have got a couple of tricky games, but then they've got Ipswich at home on the last day. Now, Ipswich won't have anything to play for on that last game, and that could be the one that gets Forest out of trouble. Chris applied for the job. Just make something, you will get the job. If he's watching, you're getting unfriended. I assume that's about Panos. I'm not friends with Panos as it is. George Ellis, our fresh season will start in League One. Can't believe it. What a shocking 2 games. They were our get out of jail cards. They were our get out of jail cards, George. You're right. But they were the crux of our season, which is what is more disappointing and more despairing. That this was our season, and these should have been the games that we didn't have to worry about relegation, because we had these games coming up. But unfortunately, we haven't made the most of them. Gregory Beasley, even in all, Robinson till the end of the season, but please not for next season. He needs to go into coaching and stay behind the scenes. He also needs to stop playing in the first team. With Shotton and Grounds, we are simply not good enough. Yes. Listen, I think I've said for quite a while, I don't think Robinson should be anywhere near the team. Obviously, he started the Rotherham game. I think he was the one that came off for Frey, and then Grounds reverted to centre back today, so Keita could play. But do you know, Shotton and Grounds, and Shotton in particular, he looked the part at the start of the season. There was a defender that could defend. He knew how to defend, and he was confident. Obviously, that confidence is shot now, and it's gone. If somebody can come in and give them that confidence back, then you just don't know. PA announcer was Zola. He was trying out for his new job. I don't think Zola will be getting another job in England anytime soon. Nowhere near. Andrew Cave, newsflash, I was seen leaving St Andrews this evening. I don't know what Andrew's odds are at the moment at the bookmakers. Would anyone want to touch us at the moment? From Jane Hewings. I said before, if the board say if you keep us up, you've got this money to spend next in pre-season, then there is a job that I think it is a job that managers would take. We are still quite a big name in the Championship, and if you get the fans on side, then it's a club that you can enjoy managing, and there is a prospect there. Gregory Bleasley, Bristol City will hammer us. They rely on their forwards, and our defence will not cope with them. Obviously, I think they got a draw today away at Blackburn, and Tammy Abraham scored again on loan from Chelsea. So there is someone definitely that we will have to concern ourselves with come the last game of the season. Hopefully the last game of the season isn't as important as it's looking like it's going to be. The ladies manager will get the boys in shape. Let's get Jono back. If it's alright with you, Jane, I think I'd rather Mark Skinner stay with the ladies at the moment. When's the final for the ladies? Stephen Cale, 13th of May. Saturday the 13th of May, 5:15 kick-off at Wembley. David Parker for the job. I wouldn't refuse it. Mike Phelan says Jack Monarchs. Really, again, you want somebody who's ideally got experience of keeping teams out of relegation trouble. Mike Phelan hasn't got that. I think Robinson would have the respect to the dressing room, so give him a go. There's respect to the dressing room, but you've got to have a bit of tactical nous. These are tough games. These are not easy. You got the derby on Sunday, and then you've got Huddersfield at home, and Bristol City away. These aren't your Rotherham's away and Burton at home, where if you do go for it, and attack a little bit, you might come away with a 3-1 win because the opposition aren't great. The opposition are decent now that we've got. I do think you need to be a bit more tactically astute. Shotton is missing Morrison massively. 100% agree, Jack. I think we have missed Morrison 100%. That's no defence of Zola whatsoever, but he didn't have Morrison, obviously. Adam Chambers, Lee Clark currently on the Coventry Road. Oh, well, I hope he drives straight past St Andrews. And Stephen Kyle says Ranieri in. Now, obviously, we've mentioned Ranieri as well. And again, I just think for me, at this point in the season with 3 games left, you want somebody with a little bit more, nous and with the Championship and a little bit more confidence than Ranieri. 3 games isn't enough for someone to come in from outside and try and settle us to safety. It would have to be someone from in. But that's from Paul. What I'd say to that is, for the last 4 months, there's been nothing but negativity from inside the club. People say Robinson till the end of the season. Robinson's been battered from pillar to post by fans for his playing performances. I don't know. I don't see how from within would change it massively. I think if you bring somebody in who hasn't experienced the last 4 months, then at least you've got a change. You're just throwing it out completely then. Who would you go for, Chris? Any thoughts on Moyes, and who does Mr. Fun want in charge? My thoughts on Moyes is that he's currently doing a good job taking Sunderland down. So, listen, if we stay up and he leaves Sunderland at the end of the season, then maybe that's an alternative. I think in the Championship for us, Moyes would be a decent manager. Who do I want in charge? I can't remember. It might have been Sophie Lloyd right at the start. Said Karanka. I think I would go Karanka if it was me in charge of making the decision. I think I would go Karanka. I think I'd promise him that if he kept us up, he'd have a bit of a war chest to spend money in the summer. Just because he got Middlesbrough defensively astute, and he made them hard to beat in this division, and that's what we need to be right now. Normally the assistant manager would take over, so who would that be? Well, obviously Zola's assistants Zola's resigned. There was no mention of his assistant managers, but I mean, again, like I said, appointing from within. If you let the Italian assistants take over, then there is no change for me. I don't think there'll be a change of impetus from the players at all there. George Ellis says all we can do is hope and pray that they show up against Villa. I genuinely, honestly can't see how they can't. You saw against Wolves, we were on a terrible run away at Wolves, and they put in one of the best, arguably the performance of the season. Never mind the performance, comfortably the best performance under Zola, arguably the best performance of the season in a derby game that meant a lot to both teams at that time. So I think they will. Well, obviously you got to hope. We can do nothing more, but I do think they will step it up against Villa, and they'll show their worth against them. Mark Wilmwell, Noel Blake. Noel Blake's obviously got his England under 19 credentials, I think, and a Blues connection, obviously. I still think someone with Championship experience would be more ideal. Dennis, hasn't he done the same as what Zola has done to us and took Borough to the bottom of the Prem? He also took Borough up. There were, at least he's had something at Borough. He built something there, and they'll tell you it wasn't great to watch, but they were tough to beat, and he got them organised and he got them structured. Now that is what we need right now. We need to go back to being hard to beat. We need to be the team that nobody wants to play again, and I think Karanka could do that for us. The very short timescale Zola has left us makes the task that bit more difficult. We need an enormous manager bounce, which is why I don't think appointing from within would be that beneficial. I think you do need an outside influence, somebody who hasn't experienced what's gone on the last 4 months, and somebody with a little bit more positivity. Robinson and Trevor till the end of the season. That's from Steve Wood. Trevor Francis possibly. Did that mean? Obviously he's had a sad time of it the last couple of weeks with his wife passing away. Nothing would give him more pleasure than keeping Blues up, but I'm not sure he'd be right. Jack Monarchs also wants Alex Neil. He got Jerome scoring. That's a miracle by itself. I think there's quite with the names that have been bandied out on the Facebook tonight on this group. There's Alex Neil, Pearson, and Karanka. I think are three that are really at the top of people's list that keep coming up over and over again. I hope we can pick up a point or two from the next two games. Can't go with going to Bristol on the last day needing to win to stay up. That's from Nick. Yeah, it'll be another Bolton all over again, and obviously Benji's predicted grounds in the last minute to keep us up. George Ellis, like the game today, we miss sitters and then get done, not clinical enough. Do you think Kuszak had a row with the team or manager? Yes, well, reading the reports from the game, it sounded like Jutkovic missed a glorious chance at 0-0, and then obviously Kuszak's mistake allowed Burton to get the opener, and the first goal is massive because that would have really put us out of joint, and given Burton a lot of confidence that all they need to do is keep us out. And obviously they scored the second goal, but they kept us out as well. We didn't score again, which is right. We haven't been clinical enough, and in addition to that, we've been terrible defensively as well. Do I think he had a row with the team or manager? Possibly, but a couple of people have said that he did get injured in the build-up to the goal we conceded in the first half, so I think that's probably the reason that he went off. I agree with an outsider, but I just can't see who would take the job knowing we could be in League One next season. That's from Pete Taylor. I think managers are quite egotistical, and you have to have a bit of confidence about you. You know, you think about it. If 150 managers apply for one job, you know, you've got to have that knowledge that, you know, you believe in yourself enough to get that job over all these other managers. So if you said to the managers, listen, you keep us up, you got 3 games, you keep us up, we give you money in the summer to spend. I think quite a few managers would take that and back themselves and believe in themselves enough to do that. Gregory Beasley says, I agree, a great performance v Wolves, but look at the howlers we keep letting in. Derby's last minute winner was a disaster. It was, you're right. Our keepers are having a blip. We need a solid performance with no mistakes. That we need to cut out the silly mistakes, and that's where I say someone with tactical nous and good structure and organisation, so that these mistakes are cutting out, hopefully. Paul Hipkiss, Alan Pardew. Now Alan Pardew, obviously, I think he would be quite close to the top of a bookmaker's list. Maybe in the summer, maybe if we were safe, maybe. Personally, I think I talk about egotistical. I think he does believe in himself a lot, and he probably believes that he's above the Championship, and he'll probably wait for a Premier League job. But Steve Kimberley, I've spoken to my Geordie mate, and they aren't happy with Rafa's choices and tactics. No winning 3 for them says a lot about the league. Well, when you look at Newcastle's squad, really, they should not be struggling for promotion. I think they will get promotion, but I think they should have been promoted quite a long time ago. And I think Benitez is quite a defensive manager, defensively minded, and possibly I mean, when they came to our place, I think they were happy with the draw, and I think that's why they're they're where they are, and Brighton are flying high. But yeah, I mean, I think they will get promoted, so that he'll probably get next season as well. TK was injured during their first goal from Stephen. Poor Hipkiss, I'd be happy with Karanka, but Pardew has more experience of taking teams up and staying in the Prem. Possibly, but like I say, with 3 games left, you want to be tough to beat, and you want as much chance of staying in this division as possible. Even if you drew 2 of the 3 games, that might just be enough. So I think Karanka's more set up to make sure we don't lose than Pardew would be. Nathan Pritchard, yes, Zola has gone. I've just woke up after that. We'll substitute Dismal in there. Dismal performance, and he's finally gone. He has gone. Official word is that he has resigned. Nick Spall, I hope a group of Villa nutters aren't painting a blue and white coffin right now. That would be so out of taste. There's a thing called karma, isn't there? I was thinking this on the way home. Now, after our little stunt at Huddersfield last year, celebrating Villa's relegation, maybe karma is just preparing to bite us on the backside. George Ellis says they could have a short-term contract. They could, and I'm sure whoever comes in will be, make sure you keep us up, and then we'll review the situation in the summer. D Bishop, Blues should see out the season, and whatever happens. Take time over the summer and appoint the right person who shows passion in the game. I don't think we can afford to. I think relegation to League One would be disastrous for us, and I think it'd lose a lot of fans. To be perfectly honest, as well, I think fans would get really frustrated. Obviously, I'm not saying there'd be like 5,000 there next season, but I think a lot of people will just get very fed up with it. I don't think we have got the time to take time and to assess the situation. I think we do need to act now. George Ellis, so much emphasis on the derby now. There is. It's what, like I said earlier, it's one of the biggest I can remember. If we lose it, we are really in the doldrums. But what an opportunity! You joke about it. Obviously, you don't want them to beat you and put you deeper in the mire. But how could you not get yourself up for a Villa away? So maybe it is the perfect game, similar to when Rowett came in and his first game was Wolves away, and we battled hard and got a 0-0 draw. If we had the same outcome at Villa, I think that would ease a lot of the fans, and it obviously wouldn't get us out of trouble, but it'd help us massively. Mark Wanwell, if we go down, then good luck finding a decent manager. The names mentioned will not come to us. Absolutely, I agree with that. If we do go down to League One, I can't see any of the names mentioned on tonight's show coming to us. Gregory Beasley, Arsenal 1, Borough 0. Yeah, that's confirmed by Nick. Borough coming down. Possibly, yeah, along with Sunderland by the looks. If Zola had taken us down, then we would have the same problem as he would have had to have gone. Well, he had. I mean, realistically, of course, he would have had to have gone, but he probably had to go 6 weeks ago. When you look back on it, but he's gone now, and all the Blues fans can do now is get ready for that derby and just hope that whoever's in at that point gets those players organised and ready for a battle, because that's what it's going to be. Alison Shilton, here we go. I'm absolutely disgusted that the club has been allowed to be put in this disgraceful position. Get this lot out too. They obviously haven't a clue about football. Somebody within the board doesn't have a clue about football. Whoever it was that appointed Zola, there was, like I said before, there was nothing on his CV that suggested that he was the right man to take over when he did, to take over at any point actually. But so yeah, when you look back at, listen, in 10 years' time, we'll probably laugh at this season and just describe it as a typical Blues season. But we have gone from outskirts of the playoffs to outskirts of relegation by one managerial appointment. George Ellis, our goal difference could go against us. Well, that's the problem now. If Blackburn win and Forest win, we're in that bottom three. It's as simple as that. And our goal difference isn't helping at all. You're spot on there. Zola should have gone 10 games ago, 20 games ago probably. Like I said, really even the Fulham one, the only other win he had out of his 24 games, the Fulham game at home, they were down to 10 men, and I think in injury time, I seem to remember they had about 3 or 4 chances in injury time to get an equaliser, and they wasted a lot of them. The Wolves 90 minutes will certainly be his highlight of his tenure, but I'd put that down to the players more than him. Jack Mannix, anybody but Hasselbank? Yeah, certainly don't think Hasselbank would be right. Steve Kimberley, our best recent seasons have been where we've had an ex-defender as manager, Bruce and McLeish. They know how to defend, and Rowett, but we need a cutthroat striker like Tammy Abraham or a Kevin Phillips type. Well, we don't have that now. What we have now is what we've got. We can't get a player in for the next 3 games, which is why I'd say build from your strength, and what we were good at for the last 2 years was being hard to beat and defending, which is why I would, my thought of going back to that and being difficult to beat would suit Karanka's style. I think his way of managing would suit us and what we need right now. And Alison says we are a laughing stock, a joke. Well, I think, like I said about football karma earlier, I think a lot of people outside the club will be delighted to see us like this at the moment. You'd be delighted to see us in the position we are because we let our manager go and replaced him for a manager with no CV. So football karma would suggest that a lot of people would be laughing at us and happy with where we are at the moment. Warren Starling says we played 5 at the back. That's negative. You can be defensively structured with 4 at the back or 5 at the back, or Spurs play 5 at the back and Chelsea do as well, and they play some of the most attacking football in the league. So there is a way of playing 5 at the back and being attacking and having a structure where you're hard to beat, but you are also decent going forward as well. We can't even pick the correct midfield, says Gregory. £1 for mentioning GR Mr. Fun. After this season, it's a £5 for mentioning GZ. I think it's 50 for mentioning his name. Chris Hughton was an excellent defender. Look where he is now. That's from Chris Sheriff. Chris Hughton's been, I thought he was a superb manager for us, and I thought he was harshly treated at Newcastle and Norwich, and he's reaping his rewards at Brighton now. Yes, I did say our former manager. I think I said it twice now, so I do owe a couple of pound into the Children's Hospital Fund, but I'm more than happy to do that. Some of Shotton's shot stopping today was outstanding. That's from Nick. I'm not sure Shotton should be stopping shot unless he means blocks. George Ellis, feel sorry for the season ticket holders. New owners looked promising. No more Carson. We had a bit of money. We are worse off, to be honest. I wouldn't say we're worse off than. I wouldn't say we're worse off now than where we were when our former manager came in after the 8-0 home to Bournemouth. I'd say that was worse than where we are now. At least there's a little bit of hope. After that 8-0 against Bournemouth, I had zero hope. I was convinced we were down to League One. At least there's a bit of scant consolation that we could possibly get out of this. Alison says, put your name forward, Chris, till the end of the season. I will coach alongside you. But this is the. I mean, you joke about it, but people crave a manager with passion. Any one of the supporters in that ground would have more passion than any manager we could have, because they've got Blues in their blood. But sometimes you need a bit more than just passion. Jack Mannix, we miss. Now this is something that I do agree with. I think here's a player that hasn't played a lot recently and has been harshly treated. We miss Gleeson in front of the back four. He was our anchor in midfield and can pass the ball. Needs to be back in the 11, much better than Tesh in midfield. Now, when the Wolves game, which was obviously our high point of the season, really, Gleeson did play that anchor role just in front of the back three, and I thought he was excellent. I think I genuinely do think that Gleeson is somebody that could come back in and make an impact in the team. Stephen Cow, predictions from Sunday, Mr. Fun. Well, I'll be at Blues Ladies against Sunderland, and I'll probably have to turn my phone off because I don't think I could take knowing the result. I can't possibly predict the fact that we'd lose against them, so I will have to go for a 1-1 draw. If we can draw 1-1, I think I'd snap your hands off for that right now. Joyce and Sorrows, says Sophie Lloyd, we must all keep right on. That's certainly true. And the team, no matter who the manager is, the team need us for these last 3 games now. So if we get behind those, the 11 that play, then that's all we can do. Warren, we are worse off. There's only 3 games left. Everyone a do or die. Yes, I meant more in terms of the club structure, the club situation. I think the cash flow, the situation, and the money troubles that we had was 100 times worse than what we've got now. Gleeson never played hard. That's from Jack Mannix. Sometimes, you've got 3 very similar midfielders that we play, that Zola has been playing, Tesh, Gardner and Davis. I think Gleeson offers you something a little bit different to those 3. I think technically on the ball I think he is better than those 3. And sometimes you just need that a little bit more ingenuity, especially when you need. Well, it's a bit late now, but when you had chances to win an attack against Rotherham and Burton. Gregory Beasley, we haven't got a proper centre half. Morrison injured, but Shotton is never a centre half, and Grounds is a left back. Grounds is a left back. I agree with that. But Shotton performed well alongside Morrison at the start of the season and at the back end of last season. So I wouldn't rule Shotton out. George Ellis, is the Villa game on TV? No. I think Blues are doing a live beam back for a certain amount of season ticket holders at St Andrews on Sunday. Don't know if anybody on the shout box is going to that. Stephen Cale confirms that, doing a beam back, not on Sky. Paul Gill, will be interesting to see how the players look on Sunday. Sorry, last few games and a few haven't looked bothered, but now he's gone, we will hopefully see a change and a bit of fire on the pitch, a bit of fire and a bit of quality as well. I'm hoping for Paul. I do hope it, a little bit more structured and organised, and we look hard to beat. That's all I want to see against Villa. They are going to be up for it, and I think they've only lost 3 at home all season, so it's going to be a mighty tough ask to go there and turn them over. But if we can look hard to beat, and we can look determined to dig in and get a 0-0 or a 1-1, I'll be more than happy. Alison, my goodness, the world's coming to an end. Alison thinks we could get a draw at Villa. I hope so. Jack Mannix, there's only one man that can save us now, Zigic. Anyone got his number? Yeah, I'd bring him in. I really would. Give him a 3-match contract. Put the horse up front from Gregory. I've just seen John Terry banded around with an experienced head behind him. I would rather have Mr. Fun in charge. Yeah, I think John Terry will probably still want to play. Never mind going to management yet. TTA have stabilised the club financially, and yes, they have made a howler with Zola, but we can only follow the future they decide for us. That's from Kevin. It's a very philosophical way of looking at it, but he's spot on. You know, we can't decide the owners, and we can't decide what the owners decide to do. Or if we're not happy with it, we can let them know. And if it turns out that it's a terrible decision, then absolutely let them know. I'm going £7 for adults, says Sophie Lloyd. I think that's the beam back at St Andrews. Kevin Kelly also. Steve Kimberley, is Dan Scarr still with us? I think so. Never been mentioned since he signed, and Sinclair reappeared on the bench today. I think he was on the bench against Rotherham as well. Yeah, but Dan Scarr is yeah. I mean, we were talking about maybe throwing him in the first team when he first come in January, and he hasn't been heard from since. You're right. Eurosport is commentary only, says Steve Wood. How do you get the Euro commentary? I think I'm not 100% sure, but if you go on the Eurosport channel, then I'm assuming they'll just have the commentary on that. Terry will go to China where the big money is, says Nick, possibly. Villa 0, Blues 1. What about the brothers who manage Lincoln? That's from Dave Moore. On both accounts, Dave, I'd like you to be correct. I'd love you to be correct about the score. And obviously the Cowley brothers at Lincoln have done a good job this season. They've obviously made their fame with the FA Cup run, but the important thing is it looks like they're going to secure promotion as well. So they've done what they've been asked. And if we stay up, possibly there is a good management team. If we do go down, I'll be going in very shortly, guys. If we do go down, what players will stay, says George Ellis. You joke about it. I think quite a few would get into championship teams. I think Shotton, Morrison, Davis, Keefton Bells, Gleeson, Jutkovic, Frey, Adams. I think all of those sorts of players would attract interest from championship clubs. So I think if we did go down, I think you'd probably see quite a big call, to be honest. And then you start looking at bringing your younger players in. The board will probably go for Di Canio or Poyet. Well, we said this earlier. It's a worry because obviously the appointment of Zola was based on international recognition. So we hope they don't go down that route again. Do you start Donaldson or Duke next? I think we start Jutkovic. I would start Jutkovic at Villa Park. But that's massive now. 3 games left. Starting with the big derby on Sunday. Huge. If we can get a point, something to build on for the Huddersfield game. I think our hope is that Huddersfield can't get automatically promoted by the time we play them, so they might start resting a few players to leave them fit for the playoffs. If we can get a point against Villa, something to build on, and hopefully we'll see a managerial appointment this week as well. Anyway, thanks for joining me, everyone. Massive well done to Blues Ladies again, obviously. Sure, we'll talk about it on next week's Tilton Talk show, which should be back to normal in the studio with Chris and Nick next week. Thanks very much, everyone, and speak to you soon. Bye.